Is it still possible to flip properties for profit? At this 3-bedroom house just north of Birmingham, our objective is to create 100% return on the money that we invest in it. But the best part is I'm not even going to do it. My kids are going to do it. Let's go on through inside. Let me show you what we're doing. If you're watching my videos for the first time, my name is Hussain, and on this channel I share with you my 15 years of property investing experience to ultimately help you get further faster in your property investing journey. Today we're at one of our projects just to north of Birmingham. It's a 3-bedroom mid-terrace house, simple little house really. We've got this main lounge, we've got a kitchen just to the side here, utility room over here, upstairs 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, modest size house. So how are we going to make money from this particular house? When it comes to flipping property, there's one key outcome we want, and that's making some profit from the deal, because that's essentially what it's about. You acquire an asset, you add some value, and you sell it on and you move on to the next transaction. That's essentially what it is. And there's 2 key ways to do that. You either buy the property at a low price in the first place, or you lock in equity at day one, or you add some value at the other end once you've acquired it. And essentially here, we're going to focus on the value add. That's what we're doing. So the property, it's in reasonable condition as it was. It's not essentially in any kind of bad state. It's not one of these dilapidated type of properties, or certainly not one we would strip back to bare brick and start again with it, as you might have seen in many of my other projects. And there's 2 reasons for that. Firstly, is that even if we did do that and made this a stunning, amazing house, you've got to be mindful of what the limitations are of that street in terms of what you can possibly achieve and what that value will be. Because remember, we're investing, so we need to get a return out of that. It's not just about making amazing homes, it's how do we generate a return from the money that we're putting into the property. As I said, this property is in reasonable condition. In fact, it was tenanted for a number of years. Now the property is in okay condition. Maybe the wallpaper and the style is a little bit dated, and even the kitchen, it's not really old, but it's a little bit simple and dated, and the bathroom as well, maybe a little bit dated in terms of style. And what we want to do is to really modernize it, make it appeal for a modern taste. And so we're not doing major structural works here, but ultimately it's about how to create something that's going to look appealing. Even though this is a modest little flip, I am more excited about this than some of the other much bigger projects I've done. The reason being, because really this is a little bit of a challenge. And the challenge is I've tasked my kids, 3 of my older kids, to renovate this property and turn it around for a profit. They've been given £25,000 on this property and to be able to turn it around to at least £50,000 that comes back to me. So if they can make that work, then it's been a success, and if they haven't, it's going to be an epic failure, or it's going to cost me. So what we're doing here in terms of how we're going to create that 25,000 needs to be managed carefully. That's got to cover all the costs up front in terms of the excluding the purchase price. It's got to cover the stamp duty, the legals, any work that's been done on the property, the holding costs, everything else that needs to come out of that 25 grand budget. So what we're going to do for that 25 grand. When it comes to exiting a transaction like this, there's 2 key things that are really going to make it desirable. That's the kitchen and the bathroom. So we want to make them look as nice as we possibly can on the budget that we have. So this is not a huge kitchen. It's actually quite a small kitchen. If I had slightly longer arms, I could probably reach both ends quite easily. So it's a nice small size kitchen, and there's limitation in terms of how many units we're going to have in here. So it's really just creating a nice modern look in here. We've stripped it out. It's ready to go. In fact, this is the first time I've been back since we initially came and got the keys and done some footage then. It's the first time I've come back to have it stripped out. So this kitchen is quite small, but it's got some utility space to the side of it as well. So if you come on through here, this is a quirky little design. It's just to the side of the kitchen. So this side space here, we're using as utility space. And here also, we've just got some redundant storage really, which will put a downstairs toilet in here with a basin. So just making it more practical. And again, it's thinking about who's going to live in the house without spending too much money. How can we make it desirable? This space over here, Really will be a little bit of an extension of the kitchen. It'll be the utility space, so they have the washer, dryer here, and also we can get the fridge here as well. The sockets are plumbing all here ready. Now, the overall condition, and something we didn't really want to do, but we probably will have to do, is we'll have to give it some freshen up in terms of plastering it over to create that modern look, because it's all been wallpapered previously and now it's stripping that wallpaper out, which is what they're doing right now. The kitchen's been removed, wallpaper's coming out, stripping out other bits and pieces, and we can really assess what it is that needs to be done and how can we create the finish that we want. The outside space is often something that gets neglected, and in this property there isn't a huge amount in this house. We've got a modest little sized garden again, but we've got lots of nice open space at the back, which again is going to be a great selling point. These are things that we're going to focus on when we're selling a property. You've got to think about, remember, someone's going to be in here for maybe 10 minutes and making a decision of spending a substantial amount of money to really make it as appealing as we possibly can for them. Now, if we look around and there's a property up here that's got a dormer that's been built out, so they've got a bedroom in the loft, you think, yes, we could put a bedroom in here as well. Well, maybe, but remember what I was saying at the beginning, ultimately the objective is we need to make a profit out of this, so it's about what's viable. Sometimes people will create dormers like that because it works for them and the space works for them, rather than it being a great investment. We've got to look at it with our investment hat on and say, right, how much are we investing? What return are we getting? Is it going to be viable? Although we could create another room in the loft, it's not going to be a viable thing to do on this particular house. With a project like this, my objective really is to be able to get the kids to learn and understand how to do these projects and manage these projects. It's all well and good me talking about it and maybe showing them spreadsheets, but actually until you roll up your sleeves and you get stuck in and then you understand what's involved in these kind of properties, there's only so much you can learn from a screen. At some point you need to get stuck in and do a deal. That's essentially what I'm doing with them. I'm kind of hand holding them and supporting them through it. A little bit like what I would do with my mentees in terms of supporting them through whatever project they're doing to minimize and ultimately be able to reduce the risks there and be able to get the project done quickly. We want to turn this one around quite quickly. The market's buoyant. We don't want to be finishing this in autumn. We want this finished right now, get it back on the market. As the market's quite strong, benefit from this. When the weather's really nice in summer and you've got beautiful views out the back like this is what's going to sell this property. So really the ambition for me is for them to learn and of course get a great return on investment as well. But that's the challenge. The challenge is getting 100% return on the money that we're putting in this particular property. So what is it that we're actually spending all this money on? This video is a little bit different from my regular vlogs in the sense that what we're doing, we're following a challenge and really want to see what's going to happen and what's going to be the outcome. But if you're enjoying this content, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you see more videos like this, and also the next stages of this particular property and to see the outcome of the challenge itself. And if you want me to do more challenges like this one, then make sure you put it in the comment section below so I know what it is that you want more of. Although 25,000 seems a reasonable budget, but actually it's quite a lot that needs to be done. So after fitting a new kitchen, a new bathroom, then we've got the general decor that needs doing as well. In this case, we mentioned there'll need to be some replastering throughout the house, and then of course the decorating, finishing that off as well. We'll have the floor coverings, new laminate, new carpets, new tiling as well. And the bathroom will also new tiling throughout. Then we'll fit a shower over the bath as well, just to make it a little bit more modern in terms of its look. At the front of the property, what we'll do, we'll change all the windows and the door to really give it that more modern look, maybe the grey, ash grey type windows, again just giving it that slightly more modern look. The electrics all need to be checked over. There needs to be some upgrading of some of the electrics. New consumer unit needs to be fitted there. And then the central heating needs some upgrading as well. There's a number of rooms that don't actually have radiators currently, so we'll be fitting those in as well. Probably the tall modern ones, which again add a nice look to the property. And we've got the actual decorating itself inside and out that need to be done, and then the outside areas such as the garden. A bit of a contingency, about £1,000 for any bits and bobs that might come up. And of course, we've still got all the holding costs, stamp duty, solicitors and legals and things we need to bear in mind as well. We're just at the beginning of week 2 at the moment, and we've got about 8 to 10 weeks to get this completely finished and turned around, which I think is more than enough time. In fact, I think I'm being a little bit generous. So the plan is to come back here in a few weeks' time to show you progress of how they're doing and making sure that they're going to hit that 100% return on investment for me. What would really help me is to understand what type of videos you enjoy more of. Do you prefer to see these ones that we're doing the work at different stages, or do you like to see the ones right at the end where all the work is finished and the house is looking absolutely stunning? Let me know in the comment section below just so I understand the type of videos you prefer. And if you've enjoyed this video, you are absolutely going to love this one that we've got lined up over here next for you, which is another project that I've done, which is a completed project. But just before you go, make sure you click on my face down here to subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on any of these great videos as and when they're released.